Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyanachana Shalakya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gorva Bhistam Supurakam Gurganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindabhidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Cha Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bijapradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandavaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Sridharam Vansha Kopatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is Madhya-lila chapter 7, the Lord's tour of South India. Verse number 75. Bhaktagana Shigrashi Loila Prabhur Sata Bastra Prashada Loya Tabe Aila Gopinata. Immediately all the devotees came and partook of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company. Afterwards, Gopinathacharya came with the garments and prasadam. Sabasange Prabhu Tabe Alalanata Aila Namaskara Koritare Bahustuti Koila. All the devotees followed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to a place known as Alalanata. There they all offered respects and various prayers. Premaveshe Nritya Gita Koila Katakan Dekite Aila Tahan Baishe Jatajan. In great ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and chanted for some time. Indeed, all the neighbors came to see him. Chodikete Sabaloka Bole Hari Hari Premaveshe Madhye Nritya Kore Gora Hari. All around Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is also known as Gorahari, people began to shout the holy name of Hari. Lord Chaitanya, immersed in his usual ecstasy of love, danced in the midst of them. Kanshana Sadrisha Deho Aruna Basan Pulakashu Kampashveda Tahate Bhushan. The body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was naturally very beautiful. It was like molten gold dressed in saffron cloth. Indeed, he was most beautiful for being ornamented with the ecstatic symptoms which caused his bodily hair to stand on end, tears to well up in his eyes, and his body to tremble and perspire all over. Dekhiya loka ramane hoila chamatkar Jata loka aishe keho nahi jaigar. Everyone present was astonished to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing and his bodily transformations. Whoever came did not want to return home. Keho nache keho gai Sri Krishna Gopal Premite basila lok stribrida abal. Everyone, including children, old men and women, began to dance and to chant the holy names of Sri Krishna and Gopal. In this way, they all floated in the ocean of love of Godhead. Deke Nityananda Prabhu Kohe Bhaktagane Erupe Nritya Age Habe Grame Grame. Upon seeing the chanting and dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu predicted that later There would be dancing and chanting in every village. Adikala hoila lok chariya najai tabe nityananda gosai Sri Jila upai. Seeing that it was already getting late, Lord Nityananda Prabhu invented a means to disperse the crowd. Madhyana korite gela Prabhu ke loya tahadeke lok aishe shodika dana. When Nityananda Prabhu took Mahaprabhu for lunch at noon, everyone came running around them. Madhyana Korea Aila Devata Mandire Nijagan Praveshe Kapata Dila Bahirdware. After finishing their baths, they returned at noon to the temple. Admitting his own men, Sri Nityananda Prabhu closed the outside door. Tabe Gopinatha Dui Prabhure Bhikka Karaila Prabhura Sesha Prasadana Savi Bante Kaila. Gopinathacharya then brought prasadam for the two lords to eat, and after they had eaten, the remnants of the food were distributed to all the devotees. Shuni Shuni Lok Sab Asi Bahirdware Hari Hari Boli Lok Kolahala Kare. Hearing about this, everyone there came to the outside door and began chanting the holy name, Hari Hari. Thus there was a tumultuous sound. Tabe Mahaprabhu Dwara Karaila Mochan Anande Asiya Lok Paila Dharashan. After lunch, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made them open the door. In this way, everyone received his audience, his darshan, with great pleasure. Emata Sandhya Parjanta Loka Shejai Vaishnava Hoila Lok Sabinachegai. The people came and went until evening, and all of them became Vaishnava devotees and began to chant and dance. E rupe se thai bhaktagana sange se ratre gunaila Krishna katarange. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then passed the night there and discussed the pastimes of Lord Krishna with his devotees with great pleasure. Pratakale snanakori korila gaman bhaktagane vidai dila kori alingan. The next morning, after taking his bath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started on his South Indian tour. He bade farewell to the devotees by embracing them. Murchita hoya sabe bhumete parila taha sababhane prabhu firina chahila. Although they all fell to the ground unconscious, the Lord did not turn to see them, but proceeded onward. Vichere Vyakula Prabhu Chalila Duki Haya Pache Krishnadas Jai Jalapatra Loya. In separation, the Lord became very much disturbed and walked on unhappily. His servant Krishnadas, who was carrying the water pot, followed behind. Bhaktagan Upabashi Tahai Rohila Aradine Duke Hoya Nila Chale Aila. All the devotees remained there and fasted, and the next day they all unhappily returned to Jagannath Puri. So Mahaprabhu was unhappy and his devotees were unhappy due to feelings of separation that they had when Mahaprabhu left for his tour of South India. All the devotees remained there and fasted, and the next day they all unhappily returned to Jagannath Puri. Mata Sima Praya Prabhu Kore Lagaman Prema Veshe Jaya Kori Nama Sankirtan. Almost like a mad lion, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on his tour filled with ecstatic love and performing Sankirtan, chanting Krishna's names as follows. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. The Lord chanted, Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. That is, O Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. He also chanted, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. That is, O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. Shloka Paripate Chalila Gorahari, Lokadeke Pate Kohe, Bol Hari Hari. Chanting this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Gorahari, went on his way. As soon as he saw someone, he would request him to chant, Hari, Hari. Sayi Loka Prema Mata Hoya Bole, Hari Krishna, Prabhura Pache, Sangijai, Darshana Satrishna. Whoever heard Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chant Hari, Hari, also chanted the holy name of Lord Hari and Krishna. In this way, they all followed the Lord, very eager to see him. Katakane Rahe Prabhu Tare Alingiya Vidai Korila Tare Shakti Sancharila. Katakane Rahe Prabhu Tare Alingiya Vidai Korila Tare Shakti Sancharya. After some time, the Lord would embrace these people and bid them return home, having invested each of them with spiritual potency. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhasha, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that this spiritual potency, is the essence of the pleasure potency and the knowledge potency. By these two potencies, one is empowered with devotional service. Lord Krishna himself, or his representative, the unalloyed devotee, can mercifully bestow these combined potencies upon any person. Being thus endowed with such potencies, one can become an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Anyone favored by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was empowered with his Bhakti Shakti. Thus the Lord's followers were able to preach Krishna consciousness by divine grace.
Knowledge and what was the other potency? Knowledge and what?
This spiritual potency is the essence of the pleasure potency and the knowledge potency. Sejana nija grame kuriya gaman, Krishna bole hase kande nache anukan. Each of these empowered persons would return to his own village, always chanting the holy name of Krishna, and sometimes laughing, crying, and dancing. After some time, the Lord would embrace these people and bid them return home, having invested each of them with spiritual potency. Each of these empowered persons would return to his own village, always chanting the holy name of Krishna, and sometimes laughing, crying, and dancing. Jaride kitare kohe kaha Krishna nam emata Vaishnava koila sab nijagram. Such an empowered person would request everyone and anyone, whomever he saw, to chant the holy name of Krishna. In this way, all the villagers would also become devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gramantare hoite dekite aila jatajan Taradarshan kripai hoy tarasam. People from different villages who came to see such an empowered individual would become like him simply by seeing him and receiving the mercy of his glance. Say Jai Gramaralok Vaishnava Karaya Anya Gramya Shi Tare Deke Vaishnava Hoya. When each of these newly empowered individuals returned to his own village, he also converted the villagers into devotees. And when others came from different villages to see him, they were also converted. Se Jatiyara Grame Kore Upadesh Emata Vaishnava Hoila Sabadakina Desh. In this way, an empowered person went from one village to another. In this way, as empowered persons went from one village to another, all the people of South India became devotees. Ematapate jaite shata shata jan Vaishnava korenatare korea lingan. Thus many hundreds of people became Vaishnavas when they passed the Lord on the way and were embraced by him. Jai grame rohibika korenad Jaragare se gramera jata log aishe dekibare. In whatever village Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed to accept alms, many people came to see him. Prabhupada kripai hoy mahabhagavat se sabacharya hoya tarila jagat. By the mercy of the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these persons became first-class devotees. Later they became teachers or spiritual masters and liberated the entire world. Emata koila javat gela setubande sarvadesh vaishnava hoila prabhuda sambande. In this way the people went to the extreme southern part of India. In this way, the Lord went to the extreme southern part of India and he converted all the provinces to Vaishnavism. Navadipe Jai Shakti Nakoila Prakashe Se Shakti Prakashi Nishtari Dakina Deshe. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not manifest his spiritual potencies at Navadip, but he did manifest them in South India and liberated all the people there. At that time, there were many smartas, non-devotee followers of Vedic rituals at the holy place of Navadip, At that time, there were many smartas, non-devotee followers of Vedic rituals at the holy place of Navadip, which was also the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Followers of the Smriti Shastra called smartas. Most of them are non-devotees, and their main business is following the Brahminical principles strictly. However, they are not enlightened in devotional service. In Navadip, all the learned scholars are followers of the Smriti Shastra, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not attempt to convert them. Therefore, the author has remarked that the spiritual potency Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not manifest. Therefore, the author has remarked that the spiritual potency Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not manifest at Navadip was by his grace manifested in South India. Thus, everyone there became a Vaishnava. By this, it is to be understood that people are really interested in preaching in a favorable situation. If the candidates for conversion are too disturbing, a preacher may not attempt to spread Krishna consciousness amongst them. It is better to go where the situation is more favorable. This Krishna conscious movement was first attempted in India, but the people of India, being absorbed in political thoughts, did not take to it. They were entranced by the political leaders. We preferred, therefore, to come to the West, following the order of our spiritual master, and by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this movement is becoming successful. Prabhu ke jai bhaje tare tara kripoy, se e sab lila satya kore loy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's empowering of others can be understood by one who is actually a devotee of the Lord and who has received his mercy. Alokika lila jarana hoy vishwas, ihalok paralok tara hoy nash. If one does not believe in the uncommon transcendental pastimes of the Lord, he is vanquished both in this world and in the next. Pratame kohila prabhur je rupe gaman, emata janiya javat dakina brahman. Whatever I have stated about the beginning of the Lord's tour should also be understood to hold for as long as the Lord toured South India. Emata jaite gela Krishna-sthan karmadeke koilatare stabana praname. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the holy place known as Kurma-sthan, he saw the deity and offered prayers and obeisances. Premaveshi hashikande nritya gita koila deki sarva loker chite chamatkara hoila. Well, at this place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in his usual ecstasy of love of Godhead and was laughing, crying, dancing, and chanting. Everyone who saw him was astonished. Ascharya shunya lok aila deki bare Prabhura Rup Prema Deki Hoila Chamatkare. After hearing of these wonderful occurrences, everyone came to see him there. When they saw the beauty of the Lord and his ecstatic condition, they were all struck with wonder. Darshane Vaishnava Hoila Bole Krishna Hari Prema Veshe Nache Lok Urdhva Bahu Kori. Just by seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone became a devotee. They began to chant Krishna and Hari and all the holy names. They all were merged in a great ocean of love. They all were merged in a great ecstasy of love. And they began to dance, raising their arms. Krishnanam lok muke shuni abhiram Se lok Vaishnava koila anya sabgram. Always hearing them chant the holy names of Lord Krishna. The residents of all the other villages also became Vaishnavas. E mata paramparaya desha Vaishnava hoila. Krishna namamrita banjai desha badaila. By hearing the holy name of Krishna, the entire country became Vaishnava. It was as if the nectar of the holy name of Krishna overflooded the entire country. Katakane Prabhujade Baya Prakashila Kurmera Sevaka Bahu Samana Korila. After some time, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested his external consciousness, a priest of the Lord Kurma deity gave him various offerings. Jai Grami Jai Tahan e Vyabahar Ektai Kohilana Kohiba Arbar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mode of preaching has already been explained, and I shall not repeat the explanation. In whatever village the Lord entered, his behavior was the same, by preaching to the people, and then it spread from person to person through the whole village. Kurmanami ese grame Vaidika Brahman Bahushrada Bhakti Koila Prabharani Mantran. In one village there was a Vedic Brahman named Kurma. He invited Mahaprabhu to his home with great respect and devotion. Garyani Prabhura Koila Para Prakalan Ejala Bamsha Sahita Korila Bakan. The Brahmin brought Mahaprabhu to his home, washed his lotus feet, and with his family members drank that water. Aneka prakara snehe bika koraila sonaira seshanan sa bamshe koela. With great affection and respect, that Kurma Brahman made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eat all kinds of food. After that, the remnants were shared by the members of the family. Jai Pada Padma Tomar Brahma Dhyana Kore Se Pada Padma Sakat Aila Moragare. The Brahman then began to pray, "O my Lord, your lotus feet are meditated upon by Lord Brahma, and these very lotus feet have come into my home. Morabagyara Simana Jai Kahan Ajimora Shlagya Hoila Janma Kuladan." My dear Lord, there is no limit to my great fortune. It cannot be described. Today, my family, birth, and riches have all been glorified. Kripa Kora Prabhu More Jan Toma Sange Sahite Nat Pare Duk Bishai Tarane. The Brahman begged Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "My dear Lord, kindly show me favor and let me go with you. I can no longer tolerate the waves of misery caused by materialistic life." Prabhu kohe aiche bat kabuna kaiba grihe rohe Krishnanam nirantara loiba. Prabhu kohe aiche bat kabuna kaiba grihe rohe Krishnanam nirantara loiba. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "Don't speak like that again. Better to remain at home and chant the holy name of Krishna always." Jaride deka tarike eho Krishna upadesh amara gyaya guru hoya taraidesh. Jaride ke tarikoha Krishna upadesh amara gyaya guru hoya taraidesh. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Sri Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. Kabuna Badibe Tomar Vishai Taranga Punorapi Etai Pabe Morasanga. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further advised the Brahman Kurma, if you follow this instruction, your materialistic life at home will not obstruct your spiritual advancement. If you follow this instruction, your materialistic life at home will not obstruct your spiritual advancement. Indeed, if you follow these regulative principles, we will meet again. We will again meet here, or rather you will never lose my company. This is an opportunity for everyone. If one simply follows the instructions Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu under the guidance of his representative and chants the Hare Krishna mantra, teaching everyone as far as possible the same principle, the contamination of the materialistic way of life will not even touch him. It does not matter whether one lives in a holy place like Vrindavan, Navadip, or Jagannath Puri, as in the midst of European cities where the materialistic way is very prominent. If a devotee follows the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he lives in the company of the Lord. Wherever he lives, he converts that place into Vrindavan and Navadip. This means that materialism cannot touch him. This is the secret of success for one advancing in spiritual consciousness. If a devotee follows the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he lives in the company of the Lord. Wherever he lives, he converts that place into Vrindavan and Navadip. This means that materialism cannot touch him. This is the secret of success for one advancing in Krishna consciousness. Emata jaragare kore prabhu bika, se aiche kohedare koraya eshika. At whosever house Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted his alms or his meals by taking At whosever house Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted his alms by taking prasadam, he would convert the dwellers to his Sankirtan movement and advise them just as he advised the Brahmin named Kurma. Pati chaite devaloye rohe je grame charagare bikakore se mahajane. While on his tour, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would spend the night at a temple or on the roadside. Whenever he accepted food from a person, he would give him the same advice he gave the Brahmin named Kurma. He adopted this process until he returned to Jagannath Puri from his South Indian tour. So the advice that he gave especially to Kurma is Jari Deka Tari Koha Krishna Upadesh Amara Gaya Guru Hoya Tare Desh. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Sri Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. Korme Jaiche, Riti Taiche, Koila Sarbatai, Nila Chale Puna Jabat Na Aila Gosai. While on his tour, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would spend the night at a temple or on the roadside. Whenever he accepted food from a person, he would give him the same advice he gave the Brahmin named Kurma. He adopted this process until he returned to Jagannath Puri from his South India tour. Ateva Ihan Kohilan Korea Bistar Emata Janibe Prabhur Sarvatra Vyabhar. Thus I have described the Lord's behavior elaborately in the case of Kurma. In this way you will know how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dealings throughout South India. Emata Se Ratri Tahai Rohila Pratakali Prabhu-snan Korea Chalila. Thus, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would remain at night in one place, and the next morning after bathing, he would start again. Prabhur anu braji kurma bahuduraila prabhutare jatna kore gare bataila. When Mahaprabhu left, the Brahman Kurma followed him a great distance, but eventually Sri Chaitanya took care to send him back home. Vasudeva nama ek dvija mahashai sarbange galita kushta tate kridamoy. There was also a Brahmin named Vasudeva who was a great person but was suffering from leprosy. Indeed, his body was filled with living worms. Angahoite je kida kashya parai utaya se kida range se tai. Although suffering from leprosy, the Brahman Vasudeva was enlightened. As soon as one worm fell from his body, he would pick it up and place it back again in the same location. Ratrite shunila teho gosaira aguman dekibari aila prabhate kurmera baban. Then one night Vasudeva heard of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival, and in the morning he came to see the Lord at the house of Kurma. Prabhura gamana kurma mukete shunya bhumite padila duke murchita hoya. When the leper Vasudeva came to Kurma's house to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was informed that the Lord had already left. The leper then fell to the ground unconscious. Aneka prakara vilap Korite lagila sekanayashi Prabhu tare alingila. When Vasudeva the leper Brahman was lamenting due to not being able to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord immediately returned to that spot and embraced him. Prabhu sparshe dukkha sange kushta duragela ananda sahite anga sundara hoila. When Mahaprabhu touched him, both the leprosy and his distress went to a distant place. Indeed, Vasudeva's body became very beautiful to his great unhappiness. Prabhura kripa deki tara vishmai hoilaman shloka pare payedori koraye staban. The Brahman Vasudeva was astonished to behold the wonderful mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he began to recite a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam touching the Lord's lotus feet. Kvahan daridra papiyan, kva Krishna Sri Niketana, Brahmabandhur iti smaham, bahubhyam parirambita. He said, who am I, a sinful poor friend of a Brahman, and who is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in 6 opulences? Nonetheless, he has embraced me with his 2 arms. So he said, who am I? A sinful poor friend of a Brahman. Now, a friend of a Brahman means this is a way of saying that he's not a Brahman, that he's a fallen Brahman. So he said, who am I, a fallen Brahman, and who is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? I'm a fallen Brahman and sinful. And who is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in 6 opulences? Nonetheless, he has embraced me with his 2 arms. This verse was spoken by Sudama Brahman in Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with his meeting of Lord Krishna. Sudama Brahman was a poor Brahman who had known Krishna when they were together in the Gurukula of Sandipani Muni. And afterwards, Krishna became famous and he had many palaces, but by Sudama Vipra, Sudama Vipra is called Sudama Brahman. Sudama Vipra means Brahman. Sudama Vipra, his wife kept on pushing him. Oh, go see Krishna. You're very poor. He can help you out. So finally, Sudama Vipra went to see Krishna, but he was so poor he had nothing to give to Krishna. He just had a little bit of dried muri, or dried, I think he had, he had a little bit of, what do you call this, like they had for Raghunath Das Goswami's Chiradoi Mahotsav. So he had some dry chira, like rice flakes. And that's all he had. That was stale, old. And Krishna went to see him, and he felt ashamed to offer this. That's all he had. He was going to offer this, but he thought, oh, this is Krishna's so wonderful. How can I give him something like this old, stale chira? And then Krishna said, oh, you have something for me. And he snatched it, and he ate it. And then when he was going to eat it again, Rukmini, she stopped Krishna and she said, oh, no, this is not fit for you. But Krishna liked very much that old, dry chira, because it came from Sudama Vipra. Then Sudamra Vipra, his wife, had asked him to ask for some help from Krishna, but he never asked. But when Sudamra Vipra returned home, he saw instead of his little hut, there was like beautiful buildings and lakes and swans, and his wife was dressed very beautifully. So all that help came from Krishna mystically, without Sudama Vipra ever asking for anything. So this is spoken by Sudama Vipra, and this is quoted by Vasudeva the leper. Kvaham dadidra papiyan kva Krishna Sriniketana Brahmabandhuriti smaham bahubhyam varirambita. He said, who am I, a sinful poor friend of a Brahman, and who is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in 6 opulences? Nonetheless, he has embraced me with his 2 arms. Bahustuti koriko he shuna doyamoy, jive e gunana he tomate e hoy, morideke morigande palaya pamar, henamore sparshatumi swatantra ishwar. The Brahman Vasudeva continued, O my merciful Lord, such mercy is not possible for ordinary living entities. Such mercy can be found only in you. Upon seeing me, even a sinful person goes away due to my bad bodily odor. Yet you have touched me. Such is the independent behavior of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he recognized immediately Vasudeva lepra, his body was cured, all his leprosy went away, his body became golden, glowing. And he said, this is not possible for anybody, only for the Supreme Lord can you do this. That he said to Mahaprabhu, Kintu achilan balo arama hwaya ebe ahankaramora janmibe asya. Being meek and humble, the Brahman Vasudeva worried that he would become proud after being cured by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu kohe kabu tomar na habe abhiman nimantara kahatumi Krishna Krishna nam. To protect the Brahman, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised him to chant the Hare Krishna mantra incessantly. By doing so, he would never become unnecessarily proud. Krishna Upadeshe Kora Jivara Nishtar Achirate Krishna Toma Koribena Angikar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also advised Vasudeva to preach about Krishna and thus liberate living entities. As a result, Krishna would very soon accept him as his devotee. Although Vasudeva Vipra was a leper and had suffered greatly, still after Mahaprabhu cured him, he instructed him to preach Krishna consciousness. Indeed, the only return the Lord wanted was that Vasudeva preach the instructions of Krishna and liberate all human beings. That is the process of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Each and every member of this society, us also, each and every member of this society was rescued from a very abominable condition, but now they are engaged in preaching the cult of Krishna consciousness. They are not only cured of the disease called materialism, but are also living a very happy life. Everyone accepts them as great devotees of Krishna, and their qualities are manifest in their very faces. If one wants to be recognized as a devotee by Krishna, he should take to preaching work, following the advice of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then one will undoubtedly attain the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Lord Krishna himself. Then one will undoubtedly attain the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Lord Krishna himself, without delay. So we have these examples. Here we have Bhakti Bandhava Puri Maharaj, who's taken that advice and preaching Krishna consciousness everywhere. And we also have Sureshwari, who she preaches to and gives him Krishna Prasadam. Eteka kohya Prabhu koila antardani sevipra garagali kande Prabhu gune. And Devaki, who serves the devotees. After instructing the Brahman Vasudev in that way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared from that place. Then the two Brahmins, Kurma and Vasudeva, embraced each other and began to cry, remembering the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vasudevo Dara E Kohila Akyan Vasudevamrita-prada Hoila Prabhurnam. Thus I have described how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reclaimed the leper Vasudeva and so received the name. Thus I have described how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reclaimed the leper Vasudeva and so received the name Vasudevamrita-prada. No? Okay. Eta kohila prabhur pratamagaman kormadarshan Vasudeva vimochan. Thus I end my description of the beginning of the tour of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his visiting the temple of Kurma and his liberating the leper Brahman Vasudeva. Shraddha Kori Elila Jai Kore Shravan Achirate Milaye Tare Chaitanya Charan. One who hears these pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great faith will surely very soon attain the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Lilara Adi Anta Nahijani Seliki Jai Mahantera Muke Shuni. I admit that I do not know the beginning or the end of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. However, whatever I have written, I have heard from the mouths of great personalities. Ite aparada mora na layal bhaktagan. Ite aparada mora na La Iyog Bhaktagan Tomasabar Charan Mora Ekanda Sharan. O devotees, please do not consider my offenses in this regard. Your lotus feet are my only shelter. Shri Rupa Raghunath Parijara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I Krishnadas narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhakti-vedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, 7th chapter, describing the start of the Lord's tour of South India and the liberation of the Brahman Vasudeva. Let's tocar cartos. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Ganadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raguna Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jaoite Vignana Shabista Puran H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Tasavar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame More Abhilas H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyash Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama Rama, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo Gaur Premanande, Hari Haribo Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakacharya Astatara Sadashri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Srila Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Prem se go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudev Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai. Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Vishwavaranya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda ki jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Dham Mayapur ki jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Koladvip ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Sripad Bhakti Bandhava Puri Maharaj ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki
Jai.